you're saying that you want to make something, you want to make a game Perl, first answer is, but it's too slow. Perl is not a language for making games. So inevitably, when you look at those sorts of conversations on the forums, you'll see the response, no it isn't, and here comes the inevitable proof. Someone shows you something like this. Or someone shows you something like this. Still, you will see an arcade game from the 70s, or if you're lucky from the 80s, done hastily as a single script in Perl, and this serves as a demonstration that it's a perfectly viable alternative to other solutions when you want to make a game. What's the problem? I hope that you see the main problem is there. So, what's the problem? First of all, if someone shows you how to make a Pong, and you look at the code he has provided, you will probably learn how to make a Pong clone of your own. But still, how many Pong clones do you need? You could try to make some advancements and, for example, evolve it into an Arkanoid style game, but this is the max you can do it. If someone shows you Tetris, well, you can learn how to make Tetris, but still, how many Tetris clones do we need? The second problem is the simplistic design. Well, when someone makes a simple arcade game, they are not pushed to their limit, and or perhaps this is their limit, but they are not forced to make some design decisions. A simple script with a few hundred lines of code is sufficient enough to implement a simple game. So you won't learn anything about data structures, common games. You won't learn anything about anything other than a simple game. The third problem is that it's not a viable game. Again, how many Pong clones do you need? Would you want to play in your spare time an arcade game from the 70s on your Linux desktop when you have all those other games available? Why do you need another one? That's almost exactly the same. And the fourth thing is, when someone shows you a very simple game as a proof that Perl is a viable alternative to other solutions, and you can create games with it, well, it's not much of a proof, because it only shows you that for simple things it's good enough. So, how could we get around this? I say that everything is fast enough when you don't need speed. When you get games that force you to make decisions and they don't enforce a time limit on it, you don't have to worry about events that are time-based. You don't have to worry about figuring out the proper way to use a joystick or some sort of an input tool that's very event-driven, and you're forced to deal with things like latency, speed of processing of input, and other stuff. When you have a turn-based game, all this stuff doesn't matter. It's just an interface. The old games from the 90s, they look almost like spreadsheets. You had a few buttons, a few input boxes. It was all you needed. And still, I'm going to argue that if re-implemented, those old games from the 90s, those old turn-based strategy games are perfectly viable today, and most of all, when you would have an advanced force clone or a advanced general clone in Perl, you can create any sort of hex-based strategy game with it, and still someone would want to play a game that's set in the Napoleonics period, the ancient period. You can create infinite clones with the same mechanic, twisted with different combat mechanisms, different scenarios, and it would still be very good to play. But is it still viable? Well, when you look at the old classics, like the adventure games from the 80s, well, this is a nice example. There's not much porn in it, but still, it's a game about standing in front of a sleazy bar and trying to figure out a way to get in and get out, possibly with a girl. So, it's strictly turn-based. It's a text-based game. But still, a few years later, it was re-implemented. And underneath, there was still a parser. Just when you clicked on a screen, the engine received a command like walk to the door, and still underneath there was a text parser that enabled it. Is it still viable? Well, this game just received an HD upgrade this year, and it's still the same text-based game with the same scenario as the text-based adventure games. When you look at the simple tactics games like Wars on Nintendo Famicom, you can see that the basic structure, well, this is actually the same thing as you saw earlier in the Master General screenshot. It's the same game. Just instead of a hex-based map, you've got squares, so it's even easier to hit. And still, it's still perfectly viable and can play an endless amount of remakes today. Grand strategy games. Well, Civilization is a perfect example. The game is still the same after 20 plus years. So, back to the rant. Why is there nothing out there if you're going out to create a turn-based strategy game? Why am I saying that there is nothing out there? Well, we've got great object-oriented programming examples, documentation and stuff, but object-oriented programming is not the same as object-oriented design. If someone starts out and tries to make a game, well, he probably knows the stuff, the basic stuff, how to create an object, how to create a method. All those simple things are in his mind, but they are separate. And there's no grand overview of how to put those things together. How, for example, in a board game, you should create a grid, you should create a world, you should stack layers of terrain and units. If you want the terrain to have some properties, you should probably define a base class, define a matrix of those objects. You don't have any of the documentation for this sort of stuff. Some of the people who are desperate and they want to have those documentation, they can always turn to PLMONs. And there is an infinite amount of wisdom in the community, but there are still very few threads like this when someone asks how to create a class hierarchy in a turn-based online strategy. He wants to create a Perl, and he receives a perfect answer about the design of the software rather than just a simple technical solution. So more of this, please. This is actually the only viable turn-based strategy I found in Perl. It's created by Koroba, Czech Perl programmer, and it's quite old. It's done in TK, and it's basically an Empire flow. Empire is the old base for such games as Master of Orion. But it still works, and it's a perfect example of what you can accomplish with very simple tools. So more of this, please. We've got a perfectly viable solitaire written in Perl that's about as ancient as it gets, but still does the job. It's polished, it works, and card-based games are also good. perfectly turn-based, no need for speed, and perfectly viable for something that you would want, or you can imagine that someone would want to play this on his desktop. And the bricks, basic bricks, are already out there. There was an endless amount of talks about moves and dependencies and all the hell associated. Then we got Move, and it all became much easier. But now we have an even better alternative. We got Moves, a single file that does almost all of the things that Move does for us, and we can re-moose it using a command line script provided with a module, and create a base object-oriented scaffolding that we can include statically in our project. So no dependencies whatsoever, and you still got the object-oriented syntax of Moose within the gear. We've got very nice SDL bindings for SDL1 or SDL2. DK is still out there. You can still create stuff. Why? But you can still create stuff with DK. We've got all the bricks, but there's nothing to tell someone who wants to create a turn-based strategy, for example, on how to put those bricks together. So, this is basically the whole rant. I'd like to argue that we should try to make some games together. Let this be some sort of a rallying call. I'm currently working on 2 prototype games. One is basically an advanced force film, as simple as it gets, and the other one is a simple, very simple grand strategy type game in the vein of Empire. And I would love to collaborate with those 2 things and to put them out in the form of some tutorial examples, or maybe problems anywhere basically, just so we would have some templates out there on how to create a simple strategy game in Perl and to ship it out there. So let's talk, let's make some games, and hopefully we'll solve those problems that we solve. Thank you.
Thank you, Łukasz. Now short break, and there are sandwiches.